Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday. It is February the 11th, 2021, and this is a recording of the Conversations with Dr. Dan. This is session number 4. My name is Linda Starr, and I'll be taking care of any questions that you have for Dr. Dan if you will text them to me. My number is 713-622-8900. I'm going to repeat, 713-622-8900. Anyhow, that's all for right now. So I'm just going to turn it over to Dr. Dan and let him go with it. So it's all yours.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our little telephone talk. I'm very grateful to be able to share with you some information that has been made aware that people are interested to know about what an androgyne is and what it's all about. So I'll tell you my understanding of it. In order to be an androgyne is our highest expression of our divine essence, and an androgyne is synthesized when a divine masculine and a divine feminine become holy and divine and share their common O. Your androgyne is synthesized, and see, in our own wholeness, we are of a soul, a spirit, and a presence. Our soul body is a gender of the masculine, our spirit body is a gender of feminine, and our presence body is an androgyne. And you know, in this life, you're one gender or the other, and that no matter if you're a man or a woman, you have the opposite gender expressed as one of the trinities of your wholeness, and if it's not appreciated and developed, it can lead. Well, in the human expression of life, we're very uneven in our feminine and masculine. In fact, the downfall of Atlantis, which is the downfall world that we're in here, is a patriarchal. It's a masculine dominance, and that's what the soul body is, masculine, and that's the flesh. That's what you see of yourself when you look in a mirror. Your spirit is the electromagnetic aspect of you, and then your presence is your pulse. And when you was conceived in this life, at that very instant, 9 months before your date of birth, you might say, all of a sudden you're 3 things happen all simultaneously. All of a sudden you're one cell of flesh, and that one cell has a full-grown adult-size energy field around it, and that one cell is pulsating. And the cell is your soul body. The energy field is your spirit body, and the pulse is your divine presence body. And as that one cell starts multiplying, as long as all of the cells beat on that original beat, the intelligence within is in total awareness and perfectly synchronized, and a perfect development of our being is usually what happens. And then we're born into this world, and, we're created for a wholesome, nurturing world, but we live in a hostile, toxic world, and over time, the insults of stress and traumas will start fracturing your pulse, and when that gets to a certain point, that your intelligence within you, its purpose now that you're born, is to control, coordinate, function, and heal your body while you live life and not have to think about that stuff. Well, that intelligence that starts losing its awareness and having free access, and problems arise in your flesh body from that. And the spirit body of your being, its vulnerability is the emotional events that occur in your life. And when you have negative experiences in life and negative feelings are generated from within you, they get trapped in your energy body, and they congregate in specific locations for each individual person. It like makes your own fingerprint. And when that negativity reaches a certain critical mass, you're going to start having trouble. And so those are very important aspects of what the feminine, masculine part of you is about. And in the downfall world, people seek the long end of the stick depending on their own circumstances. And the patriarchal kind of diminishes the feminine, and men do that without any awareness at all that their spirit body is feminine. So you stunt your own growth by picking sides in gender without the realization that you're both. You have a spirit and you have a soul. And one is feminine and one is masculine. Well, as you start your ascension process, your feminine and masculine start becoming more even, and eventually they will become holy and divine and share the common O. And when that happens, your androgyne receives its consciousness, and that's up the road for us from where we're at right now, but we're working toward that end. And the androgyne part of you has 276 activities of higher consciousness that it performs on our interweb that connects the crystal lattice of our spirit body to the holy temples of the neutron stars. And these activities of higher consciousness are like telepathy, teleporting, shape-shifting, remote viewing. That's just 4 out of 276. So it's quite spectacular and amazing what we're capable of in our androgyne form. Okay, and interestingly enough, that our 8th level of consciousness is androgyne consciousness, and that is the integration of the Trinity of O-ness of ourselves with humanity, the Holy O Earth, and the inner Earth, all in a Trinity of O-ness is the purpose of our androgyne consciousness. And that's just recently come on board between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that's kind of where we're at with that androgyne concept. Okay? Okay, Linda, did that come across pretty good?
That came across pretty good, I would say. We are open for questions right now. If you want to text me, 713-622-8900. 713. Go ahead.
Yeah, one other thing I was going to say about this androgyne consciousness is that, when we get to the Holy O Earth in our ascension process, it'll be a spectacular discovery that we get to have through that level of consciousness. But on this side of the veil, where the downfall world is purging, its purpose is to allow people to live in the bigger picture of life so that they can see the purpose of this purge and have great hope for the new holy order to come and not get drug into the little picture of your belief. And that's where the process is held, you might say. Okay.
Okay. I have a request to repeat the replay phone number, so I'll go ahead and do that slowly. You want to grab something to write with, and I'll repeat it 2 times. If you wish to call in and listen to the recordings of these calls, the recording number is, let's see, area code 515-604-9697. That's area code 515-604-9697. And the reference number for today's call is number 275. When you dial that number, you're going to have to put in the same PIN, which is 449289, pound, and then they'll ask you for a reference number because we've already had 5 other calls. And I can give you the reference numbers for those calls if you'd like to jot those down. But I'll be happy to send you a text with all of this outlined for your, so you can just have it already down. But if you're going to call in the dial-in number and then place the PIN number in, and then if you want to hear Dr. Dan's backstory, sort of the history of how he got into this, the reference number for that file is 266. The backstory is file number 266. And then the first call that we had is reference number 265. 265. Call number 2, the reference number is 269. That's 269. Call number 3, which we did last week, is reference number 272. 272. And today's call is reference number 275 concerning Androgyne Consciousness, done on February 11th, 2021. And if you will text me, 713-622-8900, I will send you this list. And what else? And if you have questions for Dr. Dan. Okay, I'm complete, and let's see. Don't have any questions yet. No questions. Well, anything else up for you right now, Dr. Dan, or you want me to ask you something?
Yeah, just ask me something. It'll be fine.
Okay. Well, I'm very curious about these 276 activities of higher consciousness. Do we have access to any of them right now? Are we developing them now? Will we have them? Like, at what point do they start coming in? How do we get them? And what are some of those?
Well, I told you the 4 that I know of, and no, I do not know what they are now. You know, I get this stuff a step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give me anything full grown. I have to, keep going forth to get more parts and pieces. And but the consciousness is here now, and it's to help us to cope with what we're having to go through and to stay in a bigger picture as we go through it. That's the main thing it's doing for us right now. The rest of it is down the road. When we get to, there's different stages of the ascension process, and the stage we're in right now is purging the downfall world out of us, society, others, and the institutions of humanity. That's all purging. That's what we're doing right now, and people are being triggered big time to bring up the stuff that they carry from past lives and lineage patterns, because they can't take that with them to the new holy order. And that's why that our response to what's happening in the world right now can be heavily weighed by our past lives that we carry, things that were much worse. But it's being triggered, and there's a form of memory within us that's being released as a result of that. But it's all for the purpose of purging our downfall shadow world out of us. And if you can stay in the bigger picture and not get lost, it's a lot more pleasant. You can do this with dignity and grace. It doesn't have to be a bad belly flop, kicking and screaming. That's what happens when you get dug in, hardened feelings to your beliefs of being right, and your problems are caused by somebody else. You're going to really take a terrible butt kicking if you got that kind of attitude about it. And so you're a lot better off if you realize and just own it, that if you got a problem, you play a part in it, or it wouldn't be your problem. At least it's your ancestral lineage. But you carry that, so it's coming from you. And you have to choose victory over your problems more than you got to be right or win. And when people first get triggered, their desire to be right and win always outweighs victory over the problems. And so they take repeated butt kickings on the same subject until they get it a change of heart, you might say. And you have to have ownership of the problem and choose victory over the problem more than you want to blame it on something else or be right and win. So that's a real critical thing.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. I do have a question here.
Okay.
And so we'll just jump the rails for a minute. Can you explain a bit more about how we use the moon portal when we release, and where do things go from there? Is there more than one moon portal? And is this better than grounding and releasing into Gaia? And can I release into the moon portal without a session with Dr. Dan? Okay. We covered a lot of that last week, didn't we? Was the last week when we asked about the moon portal and discharging there? Okay. So you may want to listen to last week's recording, but go ahead and take it, Dr. Dan.
Yeah, the moon portal is kind of like the drain on the shower. It takes, the waste out, and it's an intelligent functioning of the miglio-meglius portal, an adjunct of it, and it knows if what's coming out of you is broken parts and pieces of you, and if that's so, it clears and cleanses it and returns it to you. But if it's stuff from outside of you, all products of the model of one, which came from a system of one outside of the 9 clusters of the all that is of the Holy O, it came with the planet of one, which was brought in here to be our school of understanding. And all of that stuff is returned to the system of one outside of the 9 clusters. So there is no junkyard or dump of toxic substance. It all is recycled and sent back from which it came. And if it's ours, it's returned to us cleared and cleansed. And so it's very intelligent. It's stationed by the very highest consciousness crystal light beings. And everyone has access to the moon portal. You can use it for whatever system of ascension that you might be involved in. It works, all good things support and nurture one another. And the moon portal is a very good thing. So any more questions about the moon portal, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay. Let's see. We have, I don't know if Barbara is on the call today. And if she's gotten any additional information on the moon portal, because she operates with it quite a bit. She could, you can unmute by pressing star 51 and chime in now, Barbara. Okay, nothing there yet. Okay, Judy Brown has a question. What is meant by parallel lives during session clearings?
Well, everybody's got 9 parallel lives, and that's why we're 1/10 of what we was as a holy being. The human experience is functioned in 1/10 of an universe, and that's called a universe. And we have 1/10 of our brain function. We lost the 9 knowing centers of our brain. So we're kind of like 1/10 in a human expression of what we are in our holy expression. There's a lot of parallels with that. Now, what was her question again?
Give me a second. I just went someplace else.
That's what
it was what is meant by parallel lives during session clearings. What's meant by them?
Parallel lives. Yeah.
So okay. Oh well, that leads me to a question. Are those parallel lives going on this planet or other planets, or can it be a combination?
Exactly. See, the 9 clusters of the All That Is of the Holy O, that's the celestial order of our divine expression. It has over 6 billion Earths. And within those 6 billion Earths are all times. Not a second has escaped. And every time, all times, future and past, exist in a now in one of those Earths. And that's really what we're doing when we go to the future to heal things. We go to where that place is in the now, and we change your morphic field, and then we bring it back here and replace it back into you. And it, sets off a healing. But that, because all of our human problems are on the universal matrix, we can heal all of those by making them a part of our 9-cluster matrix of our holy expression. You can heal things that are broken if you make them a part of a bigger picture. And this allows for this, and this is really the secret of how Holy Divine Healing works, is by taking your problems to the future and cleaning off the human shadow world and then putting those parts back into your divine expression of a holy being allows all of the problem to be released, and you're brought back into wholeness. And so that's what we do with your morphic fields when we do our energetic Holy Divine Healing sessions on you. And we have 9 parallel lives, and those 9 lives exist in those 6 trillion plus Earths somewhere. And what happens is we get a life trauma that can knock one of those 9 out of its orbit, knock it into cattywampus, and it'll become antagonistic to this life. And a lot of times when I do healings on people, their healing will involve bringing certain parallel lives that they have back into the trinity of their being and out of its cattywampus orbit that's causing them problems. So yeah, that's an issue that can be corrected. Okay.
Okay. I have Barbara here. She had trouble unmuting, so I've just patched her into the call. So do you want to see if she has anything else to say about the Holy Lynn portal?
Yes. Hello. Hello,
Hi,
Dr.
Barbara.
Dan.
Hi, Barbara.
I work with it a lot in my sessions with people. I send stuff into it all the time. I have actually seen it in my third eye, and it looks like a portal. If most people know what a portal could possibly look like. I know we don't see them in the physical, but the portal was really beautiful. There were so many lights, and when I looked closer, the lights were beings, and they were beings, and they all had kind of different jobs. And when I release things into it, or for other people or for myself, the beings that was their job to handle immediately took that energy and took it to where it needed to go. It was fascinating, kind of, for me to watch it. So I just wanted to add that.
I have a question, Barbara.
Uh-huh.
You said we don't have portals here, and of course I haven't seen one, so I sort of need you to explain it to me. Is it like the vortex going down my bathtub when I'm draining the water out, or is it like a porthole in a ship?
It's like a porthole on a ship, kind of. It's not. I did not see it going down or going. I saw it going kind of parallel and up. I don't know, different. I think I've seen it different ways. It's very fluid, as I've seen it. Now, Dr. Dan, you may have a different vision of it. I don't know if that was just my interpretation from my inner holiness that beats my heart, or if that was a universal interpretation. I think I had the sense that it's always changing. It's always like morphing into something greater was my sense. And that I also had the sense, as I'm having right now, is that there are multi-functions of it. We don't, it doesn't have to stay static and function from one level. It can function on many levels. And I don't really know what that means, except that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, the moon portal is an axillary portal off of the Miglio-Meglius portal, and Miglio-Meglius expressed mathematically is infinity in 15 axes. And the vastness of that is the consciousness of that portal. And it does a lot of things, and it's very intelligent, and it adapts to the moment. And those crystal light beings that are in it are they're very conscious and aware, and nothing's going to get by them.
Right.
So, yeah. So they got it all under control, but it's a fascinating portal that does a lot of things.
And that's my sense is there was so much light that emanated from it, and of course I understand now because it's the infinity, and there was so much light, so many different colors, and colors that I think perhaps I wouldn't be able to describe.
Yeah.
Would you say it was like a vortex?
Yes, it is. I saw it as a vortex. What do you think, Dr. Dan?
Hey, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. Do you know what is the thing that's sometimes on a dining room table at Thanksgiving? What a cornucopia? Well, it sort of had that shape, but perhaps from my perspective, of my vision perspective, I've seen portals before. Actually, I have a portal from my Stargate, which is that, Dr. Dan, that sacred geometry that we sit in the center of in my home. And that is a Stargate as well. But it looks different. It does not look exactly like the Holyoke Moon portal.
Okay.
So that portal, in fact, Dan told me that portal is a portal for the angelic host. And I do feel it. I feel that, and I see that. But it looks differently. It's not the same.
Okay. If you're complete, would you hang up on that phone call? And I was going to offer, Nathaniel has some experience with the portal. If he'd like to call me
just hang up.
Cell, we could hear from him if he wants to do that.
Okay. I'm complete, and thank you, Dr. Dan. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Barbara. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, well, okay, got it.
Okay, we're back to just the two of us here.
Okay.
All right. So, okay. Well, anything else on the parallel lives that we're I was attending to something else. Did you say that some of them are on this planet and some of them are on other planets, or they're exclusively on other planets?
Yeah, my experience with them, they're on other planets, and they usually come forth in their correction as being in the future. You have to correct them. You know, it'll be a futuristic date, is my experience of dealing with parallel lives.
Oh, they're not going on simultaneously.
No, but those, yeah, they are, but in the future.
Okay.
But the future is happening there. You know, the future, the past, and the present all happen simultaneously.
But not in this timeline. They're not operating.
Not in the universe, but in the 9 clusters. That it would be true, but not in the universe. It's linear, pretty much. You know, when you consider that there's over 62 million universes in the 9 clusters, and each one of them is 10 times bigger than a universe, you see the vastness of the 9 clusters and the vastness of who we was as a holy being of the Holy O. You know, we have all the components of divinity within us that we see outside of us in the universe as God and Elohim and archangels, angels, ascended master, earth goddesses, all these different personas that we have perception of as a human in the universe. Those are actually the components of divinity inside our soul vessel when we're in the 9 clusters. So we're a much more multidimensional being as the wholeness of our divine creation over becoming a part of the model of one in the universe. That's a very tiny model. So,
wow, I'm definitely not in touch with all those components of divinity within myself right now.
Yeah. Well, it's coming, and
okay.
when that happens, we'll be a functioning androgyne.
Whew.
But the first thing of it is to have a concept of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not seeing any more questions either on the portal or parallel lives right here, right now. So the next topic I had on my list was we're watching government mutate right now, and I'm wondering if you understand government is going to move into the 6th paradigm, moving from the 2nd to the 6th. So we're in the 2nd right now, which government is right now. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's breaking apart.
It is breaking apart.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about what it's going to be like in the 6th?
Well, it's all about reality of consciousness, and in the 2nd paradigm you have 2 dimensions of reality making up that reality of consciousness, and that would always, no matter what the subject is, we're talking politics at the moment, but it would do this to any subject. It causes duality, hypocrisy, and polarization of the collective, and the behaviors that are common in the 2nd paradigm is stuff like robbing, stealing, cheating, lying, and presently politics. That's all in the 2nd paradigm. And it's a terrible place to do the people's business. 10 people looking at the same thing will see 10 different things. Nobody agrees on what they see or how to handle things. And so you wind up with this kind of mess we got on our hands. And so the 6th paradigm, when 6 dimensions of reality calculate into our consciousness, then we're capable of looking at the same thing and all of us seeing the same thing and having a common solution to our problems with the ability to have positive feelings as a result of our experiences in life with one another. And that'll be a gigantic improvement over what we presently have. And this 6th paradigm government function is really a temporary state of being that we will have. And when the ladder comes off of the holy old earth, there's a temporary ladder that goes from the 6th paradigm through the 14th that connects onto the 15th. The 15th and above is permanent, but everything below it will come off as a temporary ladder when the plan of grand design deems that enough people have ascended to the 6th paradigm to allow this to happen, and they'll be brought into the 15th, and that's cosmic consciousness. That's where we all have the interconnection with our divinity once again, so that we receive knowing consciousness. And once we have knowing consciousness and we're able to be enlightened and have the manifestation of our divine, the actualization of our divine expressions, there will no longer be a need for government, because people are always responsible that have knowing consciousness. And it only comes from your inner divinity. But when you have it, people come together based on their commonalities. They see life in the bigger picture, and they embrace responsibility for their own creations. And in that environment, there's no longer a need for government, religion, lots of things of that nature. The human institutions necessary to keep human society going when we're in a downfall world, they'll become as obsolete as a buggy whip. You don't need those things anymore.
Mm-hmm. I have something, as you were speaking about the 6th dimension and how we're going to have positive feelings about our life experience, that makes me think about how you distinguished wisdom last week, where you said that wisdom was when we can look on our lessons and have gratitude for them. So, is that, are we talking the same thing here? Is that 6th dimension that level of wisdom?
Yeah, when you take your understanding, which is the comprehension of your life experiences, and combine it with gratitude, wisdom is what morphs out of that. And the 6th paradigm will definitely be much more instilled in our understanding. You see, knowing and understanding work. They heal ignorance. They keep us united. Belief, on the other hand, the opinion about the parts of life we have no knowing or understanding of, that's thin ice, and that's where all the problems that are plaguing the world right now are coming from, is belief consciousness. I believe, and it's so heartfelt in people because it's governed by their negative ego. But it leads to bad places, and it makes people choose being right and winning over victory of their pain and misery stuff. And it also causes people to separate from one another because of their differences. That's why there's so many religions and so many denominations within each religion, is people disagree. And it's a fuel of consciousness that's better than the barbarians of unbelief. It was actually created to ascend them up to the 3rd paradigm. But then the problems of belief started to accumulate, and now we've gotten to a point that it's really gotten to be a dangerous world because belief consciousness is so thick. But that's where the problems are at. There's not any problem with knowing and understanding. It's belief. And the root word is right in the middle. It's be-li-ve. Our opinions about the parts of life we lack knowing or understanding of is not reliable. And lots of times, it's going to come up false, and you're going to wind up in trouble with it. So that's what's going on right now.
You used to have an amusing definition of belief. It was a firm conviction in something you don't really know for sure. Do you remember what that was? That was really useful. Could you repeat it?
Yeah. Belief is It's when you have a firm conviction about subjects of life that you have no knowing or understanding of. I mean, doesn't that seem kind of dangerous? Well, it is. Because the negative ego was totally consumed with being right and winning. It could care less about the truth or how it gets there. Robbing, stealing, cheating, and lying are its tools. And that's what's going on in our political process. People are all coming from their belief. They believe this, they believe that. And you can so easily be misled with belief, and you can so much think the truth is what your fractures are reacting to, and those are the traumas of your life. They get triggered and they react to things, and people think, well, I've got this feeling, this has got to be the truth. But if it's about negative subjects and stuff, more than likely your opinion about it is coming from your belief, and that's thin ice.
I want to thank you for the laugh of the day. My number one goal for 2021 is to laugh more, so thank you for making me laugh. Thank you. I have a follow-up question. We develop understanding of our lessons, and even though they were painful, we're now grateful for them. So we could say we're operating in wisdom. It's like I'm seeing the bigger picture. I can see how my going through this allowed me to learn, expand, and grow, and to develop wisdom. Would that be an indication that we're tapping into the sixth dimension, or we're opening that up for ourselves in our lives? It's become. Can we take any?
I think that would be very good. What you just said. If you're coming into that place, because it takes a while. When you have a hard experience that it took to get you to understand something, it may take a little while before it cools off enough that you can be grateful for that. People have a hard time being grateful for things that caused them pain initially until they kind of can gauge the understanding required, and at some point as their understanding ages and mellows, they will start coming grateful because they now understand and know, and they kind of have forgot about the pain. That's a good thing about pain is we tend to forget it over time.
Yeah. So when I have gratitude for that abusive relationship or marriage, but when I look back and realize, that's what faceted me into the more evolved, progressed human, it's like, gee, thank you for coming in and giving me that lesson. I wouldn't have it if you hadn't made my life so miserable.
Yeah, that's it's kind of that kind of thing, and that's the purpose of the human school of understanding, is to have lessons of life and learn your lesson. That's what understanding is, and it's a wonderful level of consciousness. It allows us to become a holy being that knows and to understand life. That's a mighty being. That's actually better than just knowing. So if you know and understand, that's you got it all. That's what we're here for.
Okay. Question: can you elaborate on how you set up yourself for a good day? The tube of light, decrees, etc. Like, what's your morning?
My little routine.
Ritual.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my day usually starts about 5:30. My wife has to get going about 6 to get to work on time, and so I get up and make the lemon water and the coffee, and we have that. And then this time of year, it's citrus. I squeeze us. Normally, it'll be a mandarin, a kari orange, a blood orange, and a grapefruit. We each get one of those squeezed up, and then I make our smoothie. And then before I drink the smoothie, I do my little exercise routine that I do, and the Tibetan rites. And then I do my smoothie and get my wife out the door on her way, and then I do my walk, and I do my prayer, and I listen to Spirit while I do my walk. I enjoy meditating and stuff walking, and kind of get my feel for the day, and I get me and the good Lord squared up, and once I've got my needs met, I can go do whatever it is that I need to do and have fun doing it. Is my opinion, is I want to have fun doing whatever it is I got to do today, and the only way that happens consistently is if I take care of my needs on the front end. And so that's kind of my approach to it. And then I just, go serve the Lord and do whatever I can do to help people. And usually makes for a real good day.
Okay. You want to elaborate on the tube of light and how you deploy that, like before a meeting or phone call or something you think is going to be a little challenging?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I have an extended version of that prayer that I do before we start the group healing that I do on me every day, and then once I've done that, I'm all clean, and I will decree my divine presence to put a tube of light through and around me to shield and protect me from all forms of discord in life, and to go before me to clear my path and bring out the very best and highest in all people that I come into sharing life with this day. And that is kind of a general application of it. If I have an extra hard situation I'm fixing to face, I'll do it then also.
Okay. If somebody wants to listen to the recording and fast forward to this approximate place, you can just hit the 6 button about 45 times, and it'll put you where we are. It's like it's a timed recording, and this happened about 45 minutes into the call. So just if you want to go back and be able to write down his decree there. Okay. Question here. Is it this lifetime that affects the other parallel lives?
Well, in my experience with healing parallel lives, they're already, the ones that come up in your treatment today are already messed up. And because the data is futuristic on correcting it, it doesn't really give you an indicator of when that actually happened. And I don't really have that information, but if you're, you want to be careful in trying to figure it all out with your head. You're better off doing the parable of Christ consciousness. Let the good Lord bring it into your life, and then you can analyze it a little bit. But on the front end, you have to trust. That's the big thing. And in man's world, it doesn't happen unless you make it happen, trying hard, taking pride in your work. All that matters. But in the holy order of life, the intelligence that makes it happen comes included. You don't have to supply that part. What's really in question is you being in harmony with the divine flow. And if you are, you gain the benefit of it. And it's like growing a vegetable garden. You're better off with a green thumb than you are with a PhD in photosynthesis. So you got to keep that in mind. And ascension and everything about us is really a part of the natural world. So you don't have to be too analytical to get great results. In fact, if you get too analytical, they'll send you on a daisy trail. And I like to avoid those. I've been on a million of them in my life, but I learned my lesson, about that kind of thing. So you have lessons to learn when you get into ascension of how to get it to work for you optimally.
Mm-hmm. Got another question here. In the process of clearing into the androgyne consciousness work, similar to past life, is it similar to past life clearing? Should we expect a different process of clearing, or is it completely or is it a completely different process at this point of evolution? For instance, I felt the past stuff in my bones, painful, and now peace and serene.
Yeah. You know, the divine levels of our consciousness, well, you know, there's 8 of them now, and they can all work in our holy order, but they can also have a downfall world expression. Well, from, you know, goddess conscious, cosmic conscious, Christ conscious, androgyne conscious, those levels of consciousness do not work, period, in belief consciousness. They're dormant. And so that's all not been functional. And in our group healings, starting about the 1st of 2019, we integrated into Christ consciousness, the first one of these divine consciousness. And we put all that stuff into the Trinity of oneness of humanity. It's in the hard drive of this reality and humanity, the holy old earth and the inner earth. And that's there for everyone. The people that's never even heard of Christ consciousness, it's still there for them. And so these levels of higher consciousness, you already have the hard drive infrastructure set up. Now it's about your discovery and you're becoming aware, but they're already there. So that's the good news. And if people will seek, you will find. You know, that's always been the way it works. And so it's there for you, and as you start your sacred path, you have to walk your yellow brick road. You don't want to jump chapters ahead. You want to take it word at a time, page at a time, because you have to have your development to go along with your seeking. You don't want to get ahead of yourself.
Okay. Next question. Oh, here's a request for a little clarification. Could you expound on your quote unquote serve the Lord? She says, I know he's saying there's no supreme being outside of ourselves.
That's right.
But you're referencing the good Lord. It's just a little confusing, the language.
Yeah, the Lord of your being is your inner divinity.
Okay.
And I try to, you know, when I say Lord of my being, I'm talking about my inner divinity, but everybody's got one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the processor within you that blends divine love and knowing consciousness that allows you to be enlightened and to actualize your divine expressions. And if it's there, your heart will beat. If it's within you, your heart beats. If it's not within you, your heart don't beat. So you got it until you check out of here. And it's always been there. It's just been that we've been disconnected from it. And that's what humans are. See, that's to go to the school of understanding that we call the downfall world, you got to check your knowing in at the door. And at the Big Bang, that was taken care of for us because it disconnected everybody from their inner divinity. And that's when we started thinking the Lord was outside of us. And that put our light outside of us, and that's why humans have a shadow, is they think God's outside of them. But the Lord of your being is within you. It supplies you with divine love and knowing consciousness, and it beats your heart. So that's where it's at.
Okay. All right. About 5 more minutes is what we have here. So if there are any more questions or comments or thoughts, you're welcome to bring them on. But let's see. All right. Here's a question from Barbara. How do you equate parallel lifetimes with the possible existence of multiple timelines? Are these the same concept, or is there any relationship? Yeah,
there is a relationship, and the relationship is your 9 parallel lives exist in the 9 billion of the 6 billion Earths of the 9 clusters where all time exists. And so there's all kinds of timelines in those 6 billion Earths where these 9 parallel lives exist. So they're enmeshed with one another.
Okay. All right. Let me just review the phone numbers for people who haven't written them down. If you want to listen to the recordings that we've made over the last few weeks, that number is 515-604-9697. Repeat, 515-604-9697. And when you dial in, you will have to put the same PIN number in that you did for this call. That just tells them that it's Linda Starr's conference call collection of files. So that number that you'll put in is 449-289-pound. That's 449-289-pound. And then, because I have 275 different recorded calls in that collection, you're going to have to tell the computer which one you want to listen to. So if you want to, it'll then ask for a reference number so it can sort through all the calls. And if you want today's number, it's 275-pound. And then it'll take you straight into this recording, and you can listen to it as many times as you want to. And there you have it. If you want the full list of all the recordings we've done, this is actually our 5th recording. We have an intro plus 4 weekly calls. But you're welcome to text me, and I will send you the complete list of all 5 calls to 713-622-8900. 713-622-8900. So hopefully that's clear enough for everybody to get access. Let's see, will there be more? Another question here. Will there be more? Yeah, we're planning to do another call. We're planning to do a call every Thursday morning at 10 until no one shows up or we ascend. So.
All right.
Thank you. Okay. And thank you. People saying we're very grateful for this time. Thank you, everyone. Yes, we were so. Dr. Dan, thank you for taking this time out of your week and explaining to us in such great detail all these concepts. It's like we get excited about them when we hear about them in the bi-monthly calls, but there's never time to really take and expand it out and see all the different pieces that go into the organization of it. So thank you, and yay, freeconferencecall.com for making this service available for us. Okay, any parting shots, Dr. Dan?
No, I think we did a good job of answering everyone's questions, and we will do the same next week. I'll be looking forward to it.
Okay, same bat time, same bat station. Invite your curious friends or send them to the recording. Okay, y'all have a fabulous week, and I'm turning this recording off right now.